Hi, so if you're thinking about taking a retake for the question 7 on the last quiz about factoring, this is the video for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over that problem, and if you practice this idea, then you'll be ready for a retake, right? So if you remember, there were two pieces of cloth, and the problem said that we were supposed to cut both pieces of cloth into equal size strips. Okay, so that's important. They have to be equal size strips. They're also supposed to be as large as possible. And there's not supposed to be any cloth left over. We're going to use all of it. No remainder. Okay, so we also need to know that one of the pieces of cloth was 24 inches from side to side. And the other one was 40 inches from side to side. Okay. So immediately you might think, well, I can just start cutting these up. I might cut them both in half, for example. Right? They can both be divided by 2, but the problem is that would give you pieces of cloth that are 20 inches and 20 inches, and this one would be 12 inches and 12 inches. And that doesn't fit the rules, right? They need to be equal size strips. So immediately you should be thinking, well, I'm trying to divide these up, and I want to divide them up into the same size pieces. So you should be thinking about common factors, right? Factors are things that can divide 24, and factors of 40 are things that can divide 40. So you might want to make yourself a table. That's a good place to start, right? 1 times 24. I could just have one big piece of 24-inch cloth, or 24 pieces of 1-inch cloth, either way. Or I could have 2 pieces of 12-inch cloth. Or I could cut it into 12 pieces of 2-inch cloth. These are both factors. I can cut them up into either one. 3 times 8. Those are factors of 24. And 4 times 6. Those are all factors of 24. And let's do the same thing with 40. Right? Again, I could cut it into one piece of 40. But if I had one piece, well, this one would be 24 inches long, this one would be 40, and they wouldn't be the same. Right? So let's see here. We could do 2 groups of 20, or 20 groups of 2, 4 groups of 10. 4 times 10 is 40. And see, 4, 5, it ends in a 0. I know it can be divided into 5 pieces. How big would they be if I divided it into 5 pieces? And it'd be 8 inches long. And 6, 7, I could do, I don't think 4, 10. I think that's it. That's it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look through our list here and see which size pieces are the same. 12, no. 24, no. 2. I could cut them all into 2-inch pieces. 2-inch pieces. Right? There's a factor that they both share. But remember, it says use the as large a piece as possible. So let's look for a greater factor. Here's one. 8. 8. I could cut them both into 8-inch pieces. Let's see if that's true. Let's see here. 8. I'm using my drawing now here to figure it out. That'd be 16, and 3 times 8 is 24. Sure enough, 3 times 8 is 24. Let's try this one. Let's see. 8, 16, 24, 32, and 5 groups of 8 is 40. So it looks like that common factor is going to work for us. So at this point, if you had written, you can just write down, I'm going to have 8 pieces of, 3 groups of 8-inch fabric. Let's put it that way, right? 3 groups of 8-inch fabric. That would be fine. And that would be the 24-inch piece, right? So we could say that equals 24. And you could also say that you're going to have 5 pieces of 8-inch fabric, and that would equal the 40-inch piece. I'll write IN for inches here. And you'd be done. But taking it one step further, if you could show what it would look like if it were factored, right? So let's just say if we had this number 24 inches plus this number 40 inches, we could say that's equal to 8 groups of, and then we'd have 8 groups of 3. Well, let me do these colors here, right? So 8 groups of 3 and 8 groups of 5, right? That was the common factor, 8. And we took that factor out, and this is what we were left with, 3 and 5. Sometimes you've seen it written like this, right? To start off with, we might say I've got 24 and 40, and we find that common factor, and we divide it out. That's 8. And it leaves us with these numbers, 3 plus 5, 3 and 5, right? When I divide both of those by 3 and 5. But this is what it should look like, right? This is the factored version. 8 groups of 3 plus 5. Great. Your retake will look similar to this. It'll be the same kind of problem where you're double dividing. You're dividing two numbers by a common factor. You're writing that factor here, and you're showing us what was left over. Okay, great. Good luck on your retake.